You're listening to Big World Network.
Subprimeval, Episode 3, Kentucky Bluegrass, Part 1. Written by Robert S. C. Cutler. Read by Ryan Jones. Warning: although there is no material subject matter within that couldn't be found in any general bookstore with no age constraint, this series is rated 18 and contains adult situations and content. Gemma Decker woke with a start. The screaming had become part of her dream until her cognizant mind took over. It was well past midnight, and the entire house was asleep, except for her. Only 15 years old, she was the head of the household and responsible for cleaning, laundry, and the cooking of each and every meal. Her father was usually absent, either due to work or his excessive drinking, and her mother had passed away when she was only 10, leaving her and her brothers Cole and Zach to fend for themselves. The wooden slated floor was gritty and cold against the soles of Gemma's bare feet as she walked quietly along the upstairs hall, in the dark, and toward her brother's room. She didn't dare turn on a light and fear that she would wake up their father and his mean temper. She nudged Cole awake and put a hand over his mouth and a finger to her lips. Cole heard the screaming and understood. "Are we bringing Zach?" Cole asked as he crawled out of bed and put on his jeans. "Hell no, he'll only slow us down," Gemma said in a loud, raspy whisper. "I can keep up," Zach said loud enough to be heard outside. "Shut up, fartface, you'll wake up Dad," Cole protested. Gemma waved her hands in the air, shushing her brothers. "Both of you shut up right now. 10-year-olds aren't allowed out past midnight, Zach. You need to stay behind and watch the house." "I thought that was Dad's job," Zach said. Cole laughed and shook his head. "Shit. He's passed out downstairs in his chair from drinking too much again." "Leave Daddy alone," Gemma said. "He works hard to put the food on the table and a roof over our head. Yeah, we've heard it all before," Cole said, as he slipped on an oversized sweatshirt over his sleeveless white tee. Gemma looked over at Zach, who was pleading with his hands in mock prayer while batting his eyes. "Fine, you can go, but don't lag behind or I'll kick your ass." Without another word, Zach jumped out of bed and got dressed. Cole led the way down the wooded hillside toward the Ohio River, carrying the hunting rifle his father had given him for his 13th birthday. Gemma was close behind carrying an old lantern, while Zach brought up the rear, complaining that his brother and sister were walking fast on purpose. Up ahead of them, somewhere in the dark, the screaming started again. Cole paused. His body shivered in the cold night air. "That's no bear." Steam rose from Gemma's mouth. She was shivering too, wishing she had a decent winter jacket to wear. "What is it then?" "Maybe someone got into Dad's marijuana again," Cole said. "Remember that guy a couple of years ago? Dad and Uncle Roy tore him a new one." Gemma disagreed. "Definitely not a person. Sounds like it's coming from the direction of the traps I set last week, close to the road. Besides, Dad and Uncle Roy grow all of their weed in the hothouse now, especially in the winter." "What are you guys talking about?" asked Zach. He was the only one wearing a warm jacket and had his head tucked almost all the way inside. "If you could keep up, then you would know," Cole laughed. "Stay close behind me and don't stray," Gemma admonished Zach. "We have bear traps set all over these woods. If you step on one, it could snap your skinny little foot right off." "But I'm cold," Zach complained as he danced around. "What did we bring him along for?" Cole scoffed. Just short of a clearing, Gemma paused. "Quiet," she told Cole and Zach as they halted beside her. The only sounds they could hear were the wind blowing through the pines and the occasional car traveling down the narrow county road. Gemma was about to go in a different direction when a low growl emanated from the other side of some thick brush. "Yes, it is a bear," Gemma celebrated with her fist in the air. "Do you think Uncle Roy will stuff it for us?" asked Cole. "Why would he do that?" asked Zach. "To sell it, genius. What are you, stupid or something?" "Leave him alone, Cole," said Gemma. "He didn't know, and you can't tell Dad about this, either of you, unless you want the belt." Gemma went through the brush first. As her lantern's dull yellow light hit the captured prey, she let out a shriek and backpedaled smack into Cole. She and both brothers fell to the ground. "What's wrong with you, Gemma?" asked Cole. "Get off of me, Cole!" Zach protested. Gemma got back up and scooted even further away from the brush and sat down hard on the pine needle-covered ground. The hand that was holding the lantern was shaking so hard it created a strobe light effect against the pines and leafless oaks. Stuttering in quick, short breaths, she cried out, "That's no bear!" "There's a guy caught in the trap?" Cole exclaimed. "You really messed up big time, Gemma. Dad's gonna kill you for sure!" "It's not a guy! It's not a guy!" Gemma cried. "Dog?" asked Cole. "You caught a dog? Poor thing," said Zach. Gemma shook her head and continued to cry. Tired of trying to pry an answer out of his sister, Cole grabbed the lantern from Gemma's grasp and proceeded to walk through the brush to see what the big deal was. As he entered the clearing, the prey in the bear trap let out a low growl, causing Cole to stop. Just a few feet ahead, shrouded by shadows, a large dark figure writhed on the ground, pawing at its entrapped foot. The prey's hairless body, with its elongated ribcage and gangly long arms and legs, wasn't familiar to Cole at all. It almost looked like a person, but was more animal-like in behavior. Cole held the lantern up high to get a better look. He took a few cautious steps, making a wide arc just in case the thing somehow got loose. As he came around, the trapped beast started to take shape. On the side of its cylindrical head, instead of an ear, was a small hole, covered by a flap of skin. Its short, stunted snout was overflowing with rows of serrated teeth that jutted out at different angles as the strange-looking animal panted excessively. Not wanting to be alone with the weird-looking thing in a bear trap, Cole turned to run back through the brush and tripped over his own feet. As he started to get back up, the creature lunged for him with its long, clawed fingers and dug into Cole's ankle just above his boot, slicing his flesh all the way to the bone. He cried out for Gemma and hobbled to his feet, leaving his rifle and the lantern behind. "Daddy!" Gemma half-carried Cole into the house. His ankle had turned purple and his boot was filled with blood. In shock, he collapsed onto the foyer floor and passed out. "Daddy!" Gemma yelled for their father again, and then broke down crying, thinking her brother was dead. Nate Decker came stumbling out of the living room in the same dirty work clothes he had been wearing for the past 2 days. His face was gaunt and covered in a week's worth of whiskers. With blurry red eyes, he squinted his children's way, trying to make sense of the strange scene. "What in God's name are you 3 little shits up to now?" Nate slurred. His voice was full of phlegm and hoarse from smoking more than a pack of cigarettes a day. The tone of his father's voice made Zach take cover far away from his brother and sister. "Cole's hurt real bad, Daddy," Gemma cried. "Get that damn hat off your head, girl, so I can see your face." Gemma removed the worn-out baseball cap from her head, revealing her long brown hair, pulled back tight in a single ponytail. Her forehead was a patchwork of pimples, and her brown eyes were filled with tears. She swallowed hard. "Daddy, Cole needs help. I think he's dying." Nate staggered over to where Cole was lying and studied the puddle of blood beneath his son's ankle with drunken curiosity. "What's all this?" he growled. "Cole's ankle is all cut up, Daddy. He needs a doctor," Gemma said. "He don't need no doctor. Give me that bottle of whiskey from the kitchen, boy," he yelled at Zach. "And not my good stuff. Grab that cheap shit your Uncle Roy bought." Zach didn't delay, knowing full well his father would give him the belt if he didn't do what he was told. He returned from the kitchen with a fifth of whiskey, praying that he had chosen the right one. Nate grabbed the bottle from Zach's hands, took a swig, and then poured the amber liquid over Cole's lacerations, shocking him back to consciousness. "It burns!" Cole cried. "Shut up, you little pussy," Nate yelled. "Go get that first aid kit from the sleeper compartment of my rig and give it to your sister," he said to Zach. "He needs stitches, Daddy," Gemma said. Nate glared down at Gemma. "Are you a doctor now? Are you going to pay the hospital bill with all of your money? And just what in God's name did your brother do to get torn up like that?" Gemma took a deep breath. "I set some bear traps and—" "He stepped in a bear trap?" Gemma shook her head. "No, we caught something." "You caught a bear? Where at?" Gemma hung her head, not wanting to look her father in the eye when she gave him her answer. "Down by the road, just before the ditch." Nate's red eyes widened, his face flushed with anger. "You set traps by the road? By the fucking road? God damn it! What have I told you, girl? I just figured they'd want to be near the water, but it's not a bear, Daddy. It's something else. Nate leaned down to get a better look at Cole's ankle. Not a bear, huh? Lacerations are too small. Must be a bobcat, he mumbled. Bobcat get you, boy? Cole shook his head. His hair and body were drenched with sweat. He tried to explain the thing caught in the trap, but couldn't find the right words. Well, was it or wasn't it a bobcat? Nate yelled. Zach came running in from outside and corrected their father. It was a monster! Jim caught a monster! Cole said it looked like a man, but wasn't. What in the fuck are you babbling on about, boy? Zach froze and closed his mouth when Nate's angry glare was aimed directly at him. He studied his father's balled-up fists and defined forearms covered with black hair, the grease-stained work shirt with his name over the left pocket, and the trucking company Nate worked for over the right, the blue vein in his neck that always popped out just before he beat Zach or his brother with a belt. That's what I've been trying to tell you, Daddy. There's something caught in that trap, but it ain't no bear or bobcat. Jim pressed a bandage to Cole's ankle, trying to staunch the bleeding. A scream followed by a mournful wail echoed through the woods, causing Nate to unclench his fists. What in God's name was that? Cole took a deep breath and spoke through the pain. You better bring your gun. Where's yours? Nate asked Cole. I dropped it when that thing attacked me. Dumbass! Nate yelled. Get my revolver and flashlight out of my rig, he told Zach. And don't shoot your foot off. Be careful, Daddy, Jim said. Finish patching up your brother, but first call your Uncle Roy and tell him to meet me and Zach down by the road with his four-wheeler, chains, and a trailer. I don't know what you fool kids caught, but we sure as hell can't leave it there making all that racket. Stay behind the hothouse in the barn and then straight down the hill. You'll avoid the traps that way, Gemma told her father, and he walked out of the front door. Out of the darkness, two small and close-together headlights appeared on the tree-covered hillside. Waiting for his brother Roy to arrive, Nate stood on the safe side of the brush line, with his revolver stuffed in the front of his jeans and Cole's rifle in his hands, while Zach sat huddled against a large oak trying to keep warm. The red glowing ember at the end of Nate's cigarette gave away their position. Roy picked up speed and skidded to a stop amid flying dirt and debris, just short of where Zach was sitting. Well, where is it? Asked Roy. He was an inch taller than his brother and clean-shaven. A bright orange hunting cap covered his bald head. A camouflage jacket from his Kentucky National Guard days barely covered his robust gut. On the other side of these bushes, Nate calmly stated. Roy took a round box of chewing tobacco from the front pocket of his jacket and stuffed a big wad between his cheek and gums. Unclipping a flashlight from his belt, he pointed at the row of bushes with the beam of headlight and raised his eyebrows. Nate nodded and grinned. Don't wet your pants, big brother. Shit, Roy slurred through the tobacco. Less than 10 seconds after he walked into the clearing, Roy came stumbling back out. What do you think? Hog tie it with chains and then hang it head down in the barn? Asked Nate. Roy removed his hat and wiped sweat from his forehead. Screw that. I should have brought my shotgun. What the hell is that thing? Shit if I know. Missing link, alien of some kind. Tore up Cole pretty good. And you want to keep it? What for? Asked Roy. Money. Big money. If we can keep it alive, tabloids eat this type of thing up. After they're done taking pictures and all, I'll sell it to one of the colleges. You've got this all figured out, haven't you? Nate took a drag. Pretty much. Then how are we supposed to keep that thing from tearing us up? Asked Roy. Nate grinned. Get up, boy, and fetch that fence post and wire, he told Zach. Zach sprung up and dragged over a metal post end for a chain link fence and a spool of barbed wire. Nate removed the chains from the trailer and told Roy to follow him and for Zach to stay behind. As the two men entered the clearing, the thing caught in the bear trap let out a vicious growl, followed by a blood-curdling scream.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
You're listening to Big World Network.